9 experienced hikers walk into the frozen mountains of Russia. Only silence walks out. Their tent is found sliced open from the inside, their bodies scattered across the snow, some half naked in sub-zero cold. One is missing her tongue. Another has a skull fracture but no external wounds. The Soviet government closes the case and seals it for decades, citing only one conclusion: death by an unknown compelling force. What happened on that mountain? And why, more than 60 years later, can nobody agree on the answer? It's January 1959. The Cold War is freezing the world in more ways than one. In the Soviet Union, a group of young students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute are preparing for an adventure. Not a political mission, not a military operation, just a ski trek through the northern Urals, a brutal but beautiful stretch of wilderness most people will never see in their lifetime. The group is led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student with a sharp mind and a love for the wild. He's joined by 8 others, 7 men and 2 women. All of them are seasoned hikers. All of them know the mountains. All of them know the risks. This isn't their first expedition, and it won't be a casual stroll. The route is classified as Category 3, the most difficult in the Soviet grading system. But they're ready, or so they think. Their plan is to reach Otorten, a mountain whose name translates to "Don't go there," in the language of the indigenous Mansi people. A strange name, but the team laughs it off. They're strong, they're prepared, they have food, gear, experience. What could possibly go wrong? By late January, they set off into a frozen world of white silence, where temperatures drop to 30 below zero, and the wind cuts like a blade. And for a while, everything goes just fine. On February 1st, the group makes camp on the slope of a mountain they'll later call Hola Chachal, another Mansi name meaning dead mountain. They pitch their tent, settle in for the night, and then nothing. Silence. Days pass, then weeks. When they don't return as scheduled, a search party is organized. At first, people assume they're just delayed. Mountains are unpredictable. Weather can trap you. But when the rescuers finally reach the campsite on February 26th, what they find doesn't make sense. The tent is still there, half buried in snow. But it's been cut open, not from the outside, from the inside. Long, deliberate slashes, as if the hikers were desperately trying to escape something. And their boots, their coats, their supplies, everything they'd need to survive are still inside the tent. So where are they? The search team follows footprints leading downhill, barefoot and in socks, toward the edge of a nearby forest. About a mile away, they find the first 2 bodies under a towering cedar tree. Both are dressed only in underwear. A small fire has been attempted beneath the tree, and branches high above are broken, as if someone climbed up, frantically scanning the darkness. But for what? Over the next few months, the other 7 bodies are discovered, scattered across the mountain. Some are closer to the tent. Others are found buried under several feet of snow in a ravine. And this is where things go from strange to outright disturbing, because the way they died doesn't add up. The autopsies reveal a nightmare of contradictions. Some of the hikers died from hypothermia, expected given the cold, but others show injuries that don't fit the scene. Lyudmila Dubinina is found with massive chest trauma, ribs fractured, but no external bruising or cuts. The medical examiner compares the force required to her being hit by a car. Alexander Zolotaryov has similar injuries. Nikolai Thibault Brignol has a fractured skull, a blow so severe it could only come from tremendous force. Yet his skin shows no damage. Then there's Lyudmila again. She's missing her tongue, not torn. Removed, gone, along with parts of her face and eyes. Some reports suggest soft tissue around her mouth is also missing. Was it animals, decomposition, or something else? Investigators also note something odd about the clothing. Some of the hikers found farther from the tent are wearing pieces of clothing that belonged to those who died first. Why would they take clothes from the dead unless they were desperately trying to stay warm? But if they had time to do that, why didn't they go back to the tent and retrieve their own gear? And then there are the stranger details. Some clothing is reportedly found to have higher than normal levels of radiation, though how much and why is debated even now. Witnesses claim the bodies had an unusual orange tan, and some rescuers report strange lights in the sky around that time. The area was known for secret Soviet military testing. Could that be connected? The lead investigator, Lev Ivanov, works the case for months. But suddenly, in May 1959, he's ordered to close it. The official conclusion? Death by a compelling natural force unknown to man. No explanation, no clarity. Just a vague, haunting phrase that raises more questions than it answers. The case files are sealed and hidden away for decades. So what really happened on Dead Mountain? That depends on who you ask. Because in the 60-plus years since, dozens of theories have emerged, and not one of them has been universally accepted. The avalanche theory is one of the most popular. In 2020, a team of scientists used modern computer models and even Disney's Frozen animation software to simulate snow behavior on the slope. They concluded that a rare type of delayed slab avalanche could have hit the tent hours after the hikers settled in, causing the chest and head injuries. The hikers, disoriented and panicked, cut their way out and fled downhill. It sounds logical. But critics point out that experienced mountaineers would recognize avalanche terrain, and there was no major snow disturbance found at the site. Would they really abandon all their gear for a threat they didn't even see coming? The military accident theory suggests the hikers stumbled into a Soviet weapons test. The area was near a military installation, and there were reports of parachute mines being tested, bombs that explode in midair, creating shock waves without shrapnel. That could explain the internal injuries with no external wounds. It might also explain the lights in the sky and why the government shut down the investigation so fast. But if that's true, why weren't all of them killed instantly? And why the bizarre behavior, like cutting the tent and removing clothes? The infrasound theory is more psychological. Some researchers believe that wind passing over the mountain created low-frequency sound waves, infrasound, that humans can't hear but can feel. It's known to cause panic, dread, nausea, and irrational behavior. Maybe the hikers were driven mad by this invisible force, hallucinating danger, fleeing into the night in terror. It would explain the panic, but would it explain the physical trauma? The Mansi attack theory was considered early on but dismissed. The Mansi were a peaceful, nomadic people with no history of violence. Some thought the hikers might have trespassed on sacred land, but investigators found no evidence of another human presence. Still, the theory lingers in some corners of the internet. Then there are the wilder ideas: Yeti or unknown creatures, government mind control experiments, UFOs. Some even suggest a bizarre combination: a secret test gone wrong, covered up by blaming nature. It sounds like fiction, but given the secrecy of the Soviet Union and the oddities in the case, can you really blame people for wondering? In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the case, likely due to pressure from families and media attention. After a new investigation, they concluded it was an avalanche. Case closed, again. But many experts, including some of the original rescuers still alive today, don't buy it. The mystery remains open, not in the files, but in the minds of everyone who's ever looked into those cold, dead eyes of the evidence and felt a chill that has nothing to do with snow. Here's the thing that gets lost in all the theories and debates. 9 people died on that mountain, not characters in a horror movie. Real people. Young people with dreams, families, futures. Igor Dyatlov had a girlfriend waiting for him. Lyudmila Dubinina kept a diary where she wrote about the beauty of the wilderness. Zina Kolmogorova was found frozen, her hands clenched, just a few hundred yards from the tent. So close to safety, yet so impossibly far. Imagine their last moments, the confusion, the cold biting into your skin, your friends disappearing into the dark, the desperation of trying to survive, knowing something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. Whether it was an avalanche, a weapon, a sound, or something else entirely, their fear was real. Their suffering was real. And maybe that's why this story haunts us. It's not just a mystery. It's a reminder of how fragile we are, how quickly the world we think we understand can turn hostile and strange, how even the most prepared among us can be undone by forces we never saw coming. The Dyatlov Pass incident forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that some questions might never be answered, that the universe doesn't owe us closure, that sometimes people vanish into the unknown and all we're left with is silence and snow. But it also reminds us of something else: courage. These 9 people walked into the wild not out of ignorance, but out of love. Love for adventure, for nature, for life. They didn't let fear stop them. And even in their final hours, the evidence suggests they tried to help each other. They shared clothes, they built a fire, they climbed a tree to look for a way out. They fought to survive together until the very end. That's not just a tragedy, that's the human spirit. So what really happened on Dead Mountain on that frozen night in February 1959? Was it nature's cruelty? A government secret? A freak event science still struggles to explain? Or maybe, just maybe, it was a combination of things. A perfect storm of bad luck, bad timing, and forces beyond anyone's control. The truth is, we may never know, and perhaps that's what makes the Dyatlov Pass incident so powerful. It sits at the edge of the known world, in that shadowy place where facts end and imagination begins. It challenges our need for answers. It humbles our belief that we've figured everything out. Somewhere in the Ural Mountains, the snow still falls on Kholat Shakal. The wind still howls through the pass. And if you listen closely, maybe, just maybe, you can still hear the echoes of 9 voices calling out in the dark, asking the question we're all still trying to answer. What happened to us? And could it happen to you?